Hello and welcome everyone. I am Ajay Aditya C of Zoho, and in today's webinar, we are going to spend some time to try and understand how we can streamline and centralize online sales using an order management platform called Zoho Inventory. This webinar is specifically tailored for online retailers who sell products on online marketplaces and shopping carts such as Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and Shopify, including those of you who sell on more than one of these channels. This will be an intense session about sales channel integrations, and I request you all to make it as interactive as possible by dropping your questions and thoughts into the chat box within the webinar interface at any point in time. I have some panelists from the inventory team with me who can take those questions for you. If you are watching the recorded version of this webinar, then you can either post your questions as comments below the video or reach out to us by dropping an email to support@zoho-inventory.com. Here is what we'll do today. First, we'll take a sample online retailer's case and see how we can integrate a Shopify store, an Etsy account, and an eBay account with Zoho Inventory. While we are at it, we will also see how to manage and map items, online orders, shipments, and even reorders. We will also briefly discuss how fulfillment by Amazon is handled within Zoho Inventory. And finally, we will see some general tips and tricks to streamline online order management. Let's suppose I am a retailer who has some 100-odd SKUs and I sell these goods across Shopify, Etsy, and eBay. I get around 20 orders per day from these channels and I fulfill them by myself through UPS. I'm going to use Zoho Inventory to handle my order management needs under these conditions. Now, there are a couple of things I need to ensure before I start integrating Zoho Inventory with sales channels and shopping carts. So let's see how we can prepare for this integration. The first thing on my list is the base currency. I need to make sure that the base currency of my online store or sales channel account is the same as the base currency of my organization within Zoho Inventory. In this example, I am an online retailer put up in the US, and my online stores and seller accounts deal primarily in US dollars. So I must integrate them with a Zoho Inventory organization whose base currency is USD. This will ensure that my money, taxes, and reports are all captured in accordance to my home country or the country where I pay taxes. Next, I must make sure that all the items and item variants inside of my online store or sales channel have unique names and stock keeping units, or in other words, SKUs. This is to help Zoho Inventory import the online items and map them to pre-existing items based on either names or SKUs automatically. Now, if you are new to inventory management or are just starting out as an online retailer, then we have prepared a video on 5 basic concepts and tools that can help you. I will add the link to it in the follow-up email as well as in the YouTube description of this recording later. Moving on, I'll have to make sure that I have enabled inventory tracking for all my items within the sales channels that I wish to integrate. This is especially true for the items in Shopify. Without it, Zoho Inventory will not be able to update the stock levels of untracked items to my online sales channels. Following this, I'll have to check if I have enabled taxes within Zoho Inventory's tax module. because no one can escape taxes, not even me, a fictional retailer. And taxes come in all shapes and sizes, and they change depending on where you operate. Now, I'm an online retailer who, in this example, is put up in the US. So I will need to enable sales tax and set it all up. This can be done by navigating to the tax module under settings and enabling it. Doing this will allow the system to import taxes from your integrated online channels. Now, for those of you who are new here, you can find the link to the tax help document in the description of the recorded version, which I'll be emailing you after the webinar. Next, we have to navigate to the currencies module and enable multi-currency for our organization by clicking on the enable multi-currency button near the top right. Now you'll have to understand that item and sales order data between Zoho Inventory and integrated online channels flow only in one direction for now. That is, from an online channel, say Amazon or eBay, into Zoho Inventory. So any changes that we wish to make to a particular online item or order before the integration has to happen inside of the online channel. That said, upon integrating one or more channels, Zoho Inventory will take up the role of stock master and will make sure that the item stock levels inside of any given channel are in tune with the sales and purchases you make across all integrated channels. Finally, we have to configure order fulfillment methods. Now I have two choices here. I can either employ a shipping carrier from the list of integrations that are available inside of Zoho Inventory and generate shipping labels directly from within Zoho Inventory, or I can ship my goods using my own fleet of trucks and record them as manual shipments. For this demonstration, I have already integrated my organization with UPS. If you want to know how I did it, then you can find a link to the UPS integration video in the description below the recorded version. Now, we have seen how to prepare for a typical integration with an online channel. And so let's integrate them one by one, starting with Shopify. Integrating Zoho Inventory with Shopify. The Shopify integration was one of the first integrations that we built. And so we have worked with lots of sellers who sell stuff on Shopify, and we have improved this integration over the years based on the feedback we have gotten. And this integration is available to users of all country-specific editions of Zoho Inventory. Now I'll show you how to connect your Shopify store with Zoho Inventory, since I have already made sure that all the integration prerequisites that we saw before have been met. To connect your Shopify store, navigate to Shopping Carts under Integrations and click on the Setup Now button adjacent to Shopify. Enter the name of your Shopify store and hit Connect. You will then be taken to the Shopify side of things, where you will log in and help Shopify verify who you are. Once this is done, your online store will be connected to Zoho Inventory. Using this method, you can connect up to 5 different Shopify stores to your organization in Zoho Inventory. However, the availability of this function entirely depends upon your subscription plan. If you are curious about the Shopify multi-store integration, then we have made a full-length webinar video for the same. Please check out the link in the description below the recorded version. Irrespective of what you integrate with Zoho Inventory, you will need to configure a few things to suit your workflows before you can start using it in real time. I'm going to show you how to configure the Shopify integration settings, so please pay attention to this. This is because we have kept the configuration part of all online channel integrations as similar as we can. so that if you learn one, then it's easy for you to just apply the same process to the others. Now, to configure this integration, navigate to the configuration page by clicking on the Show Details button adjacent to Shopify. In here, you can control sync timings, initiate a manual sync, view sync history for your products and orders, and you can also enable or disable product stock sync with the online channel. Now that we have integrated Shopify and Zoho Inventory, an initial sync automatically happens within the system. Now the initial sync is usually instantaneous, but depends on your preferred cycle frequency and data volume. So we normally give the initial sync about 30 minutes and then check back later. Once that is done, you can view your online items inside of the items module. Now, the online items are imported in two ways into Zoho Inventory. Either as auto-confirmed or mapped items, or they get imported as unconfirmed items. These unconfirmed items can be viewed through a special filter within the items module. And they can either be mapped to pre-existing items or added as new items using a few options which I'll show you later. Similarly, your online orders, if any, can be viewed under the sales order module. Now this may all sound like a lot of information, but let me quickly clarify it for you by walking you through the integration workflow. Integration workflow. Please take a look at the diagram on the screen. Now there are 4 kinds of information that gets passed around between the two systems. They are item information, sales order information, contact or customer information, and shipping information. Now the integration workflow is common for all of the 4 channels. It is the same for Amazon, Etsy, eBay, as well as Shopify. So please pay attention to this diagram. Now, whenever you add or list a new item on Shopify or any online sales channel for that matter, that item is brought into Zoho Inventory as an unmapped or unconfirmed item, provided you don't have a pre-existing copy of it. And if you do have a pre-existing copy, then the system will compare the names and SKUs between the item on Shopify and the item inside of Zoho Inventory, and will map the incoming item with the existing item even if one of these two fields contain identical or matching information. If the same item has a different name and SKU within Zoho Inventory, then you have the choice to map them manually. And if the item does not exist inside of Zoho Inventory, then you can confirm it manually to start transacting with it. I'll be showing you all of that shortly when we work on item mapping. Another important thing to note here is that Zoho Inventory will always be the master of stock irrespective of the number of channels you integrate it with. This means when the stock level of an item increases or decreases within Zoho Inventory, the new stock levels will be instantaneously updated across all integrated channels as long as you haven't disabled the stock sync for any given sales channel. Since we are on the topic of stock, you need to know this. When an item gets imported from an online channel for the very first time, the current stock level of the item on the online channel will be taken as the opening stock inside of Zoho Inventory. And when you integrate more than one channel having the same item, Zoho Inventory will not import stock levels of the matching items from the second channel onwards. Instead, it will update the current stock level that is derived from the opening stock and the transactions captured by Zoho Inventory from all of these channels. Now, the orders you get on Shopify, Amazon, Etsy, or eBay will be brought into Zoho Inventory periodically. That is, depending on how frequently you have configured the channel to talk to Zoho Inventory. And you will receive notifications inside of Zoho Inventory every time you have one or more new orders. Along with the order information, the customer information will also be brought in, verified and added to the database. And when you ship the goods, the order status inside of the respective channel will be changed to shipped. So let's see how the item mapping process happens for a single channel integration. Now I have only integrated my Shopify store so far, and since I do not have any pre-existing items inside of Zoho Inventory, all the items from Shopify have been made available to me as unmapped or unconfirmed items. All I need to do here is to just select them all and bulk confirm them. And there we go. After we integrate Etsy with Zoho Inventory, I'll show you how the mapping really works and how you can manually map an unconfirmed item, if any. Now let's integrate Zoho Inventory with Etsy. So let's look at some prerequisites before we see the integration steps. To make things easy on ourselves, we must ensure that the items on one channel get mapped to the same items across all channels. This can be achieved by keeping either the names of your items or the SKUs consistent across all channels. This is because the system will automatically map similar items across different marketplaces as long as the names or the SKUs are same for any given item across all the channels involved. If neither the names nor the SKUs are the same across channels, then you will have to sit down, sift manually through hundreds of SKUs and map the incoming item with the right item inside of Zoho Inventory. This is actually a pain despite our efforts to make this process easy and straightforward. So it is advisable to either have the names or the SKUs of items remain consistent across all your sales channels and rely on manual mapping only for those items that for some reason need to have a different name and SKU in a particular channel. Now that we are clear on how to prepare your items, let's proceed to integrate another sales channel, in this case Etsy. To integrate Etsy with Zoho Inventory, navigate to Marketplaces under Integrations and click on the Setup Now button below Etsy. You will then be redirected to the Etsy website where you will need to provide your login credentials and sign into your Etsy account. Once you're inside, Etsy will take you to an integration authorization page which will tell you everything that Zoho Inventory can see and affect inside of your Etsy account. Read the information on this page, and if you're okay with it, hit the Allow Access button to connect the two platforms. Now, the configuration parts of this integration are very similar to what you saw during the Shopify integration. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that part and go directly to item mapping. Now, most items I have on Etsy are already mapped to my existing items because I have made sure that the SKUs are same for any given item across Shopify, Etsy, and eBay. However, I do have a couple of items here that are either not listed on Shopify or have different names and SKUs on Shopify than Etsy. I'm going to pick one such unconfirmed item at random and show you how you can map it to the same item inside of Zoho Inventory. Item mapping on a multi-channel scenario. Now here is an item that already exists within both Zoho Inventory as well as Shopify. But there are some differences in the way we have named it across channels. Plus, SKUs are also different for some reason despite it being the same item. Zoho Inventory will treat them as two different items because their names and SKUs do not match. However, the system has a safety interlock that prevents it from importing it as a new item. Instead, Zoho Inventory keeps it in an unconfirmed state so that you, as the admin, can verify it yourself. So it now falls on us to map this incoming item to the one that already exists within the database. To map this item, navigate to the unconfirmed item. So we are just going to open the unconfirmed item and then click on the link to the existing item button. Doing so will open an item merge window wherein you can search and select the appropriate item to merge with the incoming item. Once you have selected the right item, hit the merge button to finish the job. Now, some of you might have this question. What if I merge a sales channel item with the wrong item inside of Zoho Inventory? Should you happen to choose the wrong pre-existing item and merge it with an unconfirmed item, you can fix it by unlinking the two items from within Zoho Inventory and reinitiating a manual sync with the desired sales channel. However, there is a small risk here. Any orders that were associated with the wrongly merged item during the integration will not be brought in to Zoho Inventory. So you will have to process them in the sales channel directly and later record item adjustments in Zoho Inventory to correct the stock count. So please take your time and be ultra careful while manually merging a sales channel item with an existing item. Or you can just have the names and SKUs match and then have the system do the heavy lifting for you. Integrating eBay and Zoho Inventory. Now the prerequisites for this integration are very similar to the ones for Shopify and Etsy. So prepare the items in your eBay account just as you did with Shopify by having either matching names or SKUs with the same items inside of Zoho Inventory. While you're at it, please make sure that the currency of your eBay account matches with the base currency of your Zoho Inventory organization. And also do take all the precautions that I mentioned before when we talked about the prerequisites of an online sales channel integration. As of the time of making this video, we support integrations with two versions of eBay, one for the US and the other for the UK. So please make sure that you are using one of these editions before you search for the integration. Now, to integrate eBay with Zoho Inventory, navigate to Integrations, select Marketplaces, and hit the Setup Now button adjacent to eBay. You will then be taken to a page within eBay wherein you will need to log in and verify your identity. After you have done that, the platforms will be integrated to each other. Now the tuning, mapping, and syncing parts of this integration are very similar to what we saw for Shopify and Etsy. So I'm not going to go into detail right here. However, if you have questions, you can email us at support@zoho-inventory.com or chat with us at any given point in time from within your Zoho Inventory web application. We have a 24/5 live support, so please make use of that. Now, for those of you who are wondering how the stock flow in a multi-channel situation, well, it's a good question. Irrespective of the number of channels you integrate with Zoho Inventory, it will always remain as the master of stock, meaning any rise or fall in the stock levels of items within Zoho Inventory will be updated to all integrated channels. Let's take this item for example. It has an X amount of stock that has been listed on all channels. So when I record a purchase of 200 units by creating a bill inside of Zoho Inventory, the stock level of this item goes up by 200 across all integrated channels instantaneously. Now I'm going to quickly take a moment to show you the change in the stock level. And now that I have made a bill, the stock level has gone up by 200 within Zoho Inventory. And now I'm going to quickly swap to Shopify. And there you go. So you can see the rise in stock level by 200 on Shopify. So this way, Zoho Inventory maintains stock levels instantaneously. Similarly, if there is a sale in one of the channels, say Shopify, then the amount sold will be deducted from all integrated channels, be it Etsy, Amazon, or eBay, as soon as you convert that particular online order into an invoice within Zoho Inventory. Now let's see how we can fulfill online orders now that we have seen how to set up marketplace and shopping cart integrations. For this example, I'm going to open an order from Shopify and create a package containing all the ordered items using the Create button from the top right. Once the items have been packed, I'm going to ship them out. For this demonstration, I have already integrated this organization with UPS. So I'm going to ship this package via UPS like so. Now every shipment has 3 stages. The first step, also known as the address verification stage, verifies if the from and the to addresses are valid locations. The second stage, also known as the shipment configuration stage, is the place where you can configure shipping options such as type, size, weight, etc. and generate shipping rates accordingly. Now select a shipment option that suits your needs and proceed to generate a label. The final stage, or the third stage, also known as the label generation stage, is the place where you will have a shipping label and a tracking ID generated by the carrier. You can download and print this label while the system automatically sends out a shipment notification to the client. Once the shipment is done, your online sales channel will be notified of the shipment. Now, for those of you who wish to learn how to integrate your UPS with Zoho Inventory, we have a link to the integration video in the YouTube description of the recorded version. Next, we are going to see some important things that you'll have to remember when you're an online seller using Zoho Inventory. Let me quickly walk you through an important concept called mode of stock tracking. Zoho Inventory supports 2 types of stock tracking. So every item has an accounting stock that is controlled by bills and invoices, and a physical stock that is controlled by purchase receipts and shipments. Most online sellers who use Zoho Inventory tend to lean towards physical stock tracking because they tend to invoice their online customers from the online channels. However, if you have opted for a Zoho Books integration or a Zoho One subscription, then it is recommended to opt for the accounting stock and convert your online orders into invoices within Zoho Inventory. This is because Zoho Books also supports a basic inventory tracking function that will only account for stock changes arising out of your sales invoices and purchase bills. And doing this will ensure that the actual stock level in Zoho Inventory is also communicated to Zoho Books. The good news is that you can convert a sales order into an invoice within 2 clicks. However, if you have a large inflow of orders, then this manual process will be time consuming. So for people like you, we have automated this process with the help of a custom function. You can find the link to the custom function either in the follow-up mail or in the YouTube description of the recorded version. Amazon integration. Now, the Amazon integration is pretty much similar to the ones you have seen before, except for the part where you validate your identity, as Amazon's integration window will involve a couple more steps. We will be covering this in detail in a later video. At the moment, the Amazon integration is only available on the US edition of Zoho Inventory. We do support FBA, meaning the orders that are fulfilled by Amazon will also be brought into Zoho Inventory for your reference. And Amazon, in this case, will be considered as a separate warehouse. Apart from these 2 points, the Amazon integration works in the same way as Etsy, eBay, or Shopify. So to summarize, we saw how we can prepare a Zoho Inventory organization for sales channel integrations, and we went through the prerequisites needed for a quick and smooth setup. We saw how we could integrate Shopify to Zoho Inventory, how to configure and fine-tune the integration, and how we could import new items from Shopify. Following this, we saw how we could integrate Etsy and then manually map an Etsy item to the same item inside of Zoho Inventory. We then integrated eBay with Zoho Inventory and saw how Zoho Inventory functioned as the master of stock for all integrated channels with the help of a purchase transaction. We then fulfilled an online sales order via an integrated shipping carrier, in this case UPS, before moving on to a couple of things to remember with regards to stock tracking, automation, and FBA. With that, we come to the end of this webinar. If you have any questions, doubts, or suggestions, please email us at support@zoho-inventory.com. Webinar registrants will be receiving a follow-up email with the link to the recording along with some useful materials. Signing off, this is your host Ajay Aditya C, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you.